So my point, and it's funny. So I talked about it with Archaic Skids, which we a little bit because he called me, which is funny.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, which is funny. And outside of that, although I guess I don't know, and I would let him say it, whatever. Mm. Hopefully, we can maybe figure that out. But because I guess he's a liar,
big liar,
is a thing.
Dude.
Yeah,
big
which
liar.
you probably know more than I do.
Yeah,
but real quick, just for this point, so we can put a button on it before we get into that. Is Hugh was saying again, this guy could be a liar. I don't know who to believe. Whatever. He was always like nice to me. Yeah. You know, and he never he never fucked me over on anything. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Now having said that, he was like, yeah, you know, the episode that you were on, the 2 episodes that you were on, have 50 views on YouTube, but have 1,500 on Rumble.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now, could be fucking lying.
Yeah, I mean...
but he was he's like, this show, my show, does way better on Rumble than it does on YouTube.
Not to be offensive, so, I mean, I like Rumble, and I like it as an alternative, but it is kind of like a boomer schizo fucking website. Okay. I mean, not really. I mean, I like Rumble. I follow a few people on Rumble. I follow Bannon's War Room on Rumble. Okay. Which, as a lapsed nationalist populist, I think I have to follow Bannon's War Room just to see
what's Bannon. I don't even know what Bannon's.
You don't know what Bannon, dude. You gotta watch Bannon's War Room.
What is that?
It's Steve Bannon's channel.
Oh, it is Steve Bannon,
and it's his
I love Steve Bannon. I don't know what.
It's his regular show.
I can't help it.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. He wears 3 shirts. I don't understand it. It's so weird.
I can't help
it.
Dude,
man, as someone who I sold clothes for 8 years, folks. So so it's something I always notice, even though I don't do it now, and I don't wear suits anymore or anything like that. But Steve Bannon has a habit where he'll wear 3 shirts. Yeah, that's so he'll wear a t-shirt, and then he'll wear a polo, and then he'll wear a button-down dress shirt over his polo.
What the fuck? And he's not.
And then he'll wear a jacket. Or a sweatshirt.
Aren't you just marinating?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
What's going on?
I don't understand.
His internal body temperature's got to be 125 degrees.
Yeah, and there's no reasonable sense to it. Yeah. Any way you look at it. But anyway, I mean that's besides the point. Yeah. No, Bannon's War Room is a really fun show.
I'm sure it is.
When a lot of the Hunter Biden emails were dropping.
Okay. Yeah.
When a lot of the
he is a genius.
Oh yeah.
I mean, let's just be serious.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, Rumble does kind of lend itself to the boomer schizos.
That's interesting. So it's an older crowd.
I mean, older than us. I wouldn't say super old.
Right. Well, it's not.
I mean, it's it lends itself to the I don't know. It's the Dan Bongino show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Rumble is the Dan Bongino show.
That's what I see promoted a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's just a product of.
Well, because Bongino was big in the Parler, and then Parler basically got its head cut off, right? So
I think so.
Is that kind of the natural
is
Parler back or no?
I heard it's back. I don't really know. I know Cloudflare, which I think is owned by Amazon, pulled their servers, and maybe they put them back up. I really don't know.
Yeah.
All that. I mean, parallel lines of communication are great, but they all got kneecapped.
Oh, and they're all. And I said this maybe in the first episode. It's I can't be on Parler if it's only Dan Bongino. It's fun. I mean that's okay, I guess, but it's it's not that. And we talked about this maybe last week too. It's you have to be funny and not boomer funny, but funny, actual funny, subversive and mean and weird and internet funny. Yeah, and and all of those. Even though the left can't meme because they absolutely can't, the right memes are all the good right memes are all from libertarians, ANCAPs. The boomer memes are shitty and not funny, and I feel Parler is all of that.
That's I think also that the neo-reactionaries, the 4chan far right guys, they also are one of the best memers.
This is what I mean.
You can't leave them out.
Oh, that's probably who I was.
They hate the libertarians.
That's what
they think the Lawberts are stupid. And
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, this is where my nerd.
That's who I meant.
Yeah. So
that's who I meant to say.
Yeah, they.
All the shit you sent me.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I love.
Absolutely.
And again, as I know, we got
that stuff. I cherry picked that stuff from 4chan and from what I assume are teenagers on Twitter with like Roman statue abbeys.
Exactly. Yeah, those are like my favorite people.
Yeah, and Pepe the Frog abbeys.
Those are my people. Yeah, that is why I have to get another fucking email address again for Twitter again.
Their whole thing is that they'll say
those are my people.
They'll say like libertine degeneracy is not liberty.
Yeah,
that's kind of their whole.
Those are my people.
It comes downstream from Mencius Mollbug and the whole neo-reactionary.
Yeah, who's that? Is that a person or?
It's Curtis Yarvin. He had a pen named Mencius Mollbug. I don't know about him because he went on Malice, so I researched him a little bit, and he's a author and thinker, and he
is funny.
Yeah, you'd like him.
Yeah,
he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Recently his wife died, so it's really sad.
Yeah.
But he's obviously not working and doing stuff.
Sure.
And they have a bunch of kids and stuff like that too. So
he's a person.
But he is like an intellectual and a writer, and he writes some pretty crazy stuff. He's a monarchist.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's right.
Yeah, he's a monarchist. He gave a talk called "Why the American Revolution Was a Right-Wing Coup."
Interesting. Okay.
That in order to understand like your government, your nation, whatever, you need to fundamentally understand that like it was a minority government. Not a minority non-government right-wing coup.
Interesting.
It was not some kind of like democratic Republican process.
Sure.
So whatever.
Yeah.
But those guys I would say, are the most powerful memers on the internet.
Yeah. Right. They're the only good ones.
Yeah. But when they're not the Rumble guys. I don't think the Rumble guys are more like boomer tier.
Are those guys on like Telegram?
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
they're like on Telegram and D Live and like all like Ninja and like all the streamer channels.
Sure.
All like the Zoomer like streamer channels. That's probably.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know. I know enough to follow their Twitter pages and on 4chan, but I don't know where they actually like stream.
Yeah. Right. So tell me about what's going on with this guy.
Oh, it's okay. So Archaic Skids. So I joined an On Spaces on Twitter the other day just to listen. It was being hosted by Shane Hazel.
On Spaces is kind of like Facebook Live version.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah,
Twitter's version of Facebook Live.
Yeah, or like Twitter's version of like Clubhouse almost. Where it's like an audio only.
Oh, it's audio
open.
only.
You can do like I think I don't.
Okay, Clubhouse. Got it.
Yeah, and I don't really know how it works, but it really seems like anyone can go into it because I just went into it.
Yeah. Clubhouse is like that.
Yeah.
Clubhouse sucks though.
It was hard to figure out because Shane Hazel was talking to another guy, and they're both ex-military, and at least I couldn't. I don't know if it was just me on my end or other people in the thing, but no one else was talking, so there wasn't really any feedback. I couldn't hear what the other guy was saying, the other Marine guy was saying, or other military guy was saying, until later they got him like directly on the microphone. But essentially, I guess Skids lied about several details of his military service, such as there being like some discrepancies about firing ranges on certain bases, and also his like trajectory of like being moved from a military police officer to like force recon. And then there was another person that came out and said, that unit he said he was in, I was in that unit at that time, and he was not in the unit.
Right. So
that was just according to an On Spaces with Shane Hazel and two other former military dudes. From my recollection, that would have been last night. This is like, what's today, the 5th, the 6th, or something like that?
Today is the 5th.
So, the details...
Oh, that was even last night.
That was yesterday.
Oh, so that was even after...
That might have been 2 days ago.
I was going to say,
it was 2 days ago.
Yeah,
sorry, 2 days ago.
So the 3rd, June 3rd.
Yeah, so I just hopped into that for like 10 minutes, and it was really hard to figure out what was going on, because like I said, I couldn't hear, like whoever Shane was talking to, I couldn't hear what they were saying.
Got it.
So then in the second half of the conversation, when the other dude jumped on, he basically said, yeah, Shane, I don't know how you didn't know this guy was full of shit. I listened to your interview with him for 10 minutes, and me, as a grunt, knew he was totally full of shit.
Got it, okay.
And then I looked through the threads and some other people talking, and they said this guy promised us like grants, like he had contacts to get us like artistic grants basically to help produce our shows, and like just like bullshitted us about it. And then and other people said he lied about other connections he had. They didn't elaborate on what those connections were, but then there were also other people who said like he was always good to me. He never lied to me. He never promised anything to me. He helped me grow my channel. And It seems that the jury is still out, but it seems like he was lying about a number of things.
So,
for sure, I shouldn't even say the jury was out. It seems like he was definitely lying about a lot of things. But there isn't really, like, a clear consensus of what those things were yet.
Yeah.
And I think they're actually giving him a chance to, like, come out and like, own up to his lies.
Sure.
I think that seems like, because that's what all their posts seem to be saying.
Got it.
Is they want him to come out and admit what he did and whatever. So yeah, that's my understanding. That's my understanding from lurking on Spaces and other people's posts for the last few days.
Around that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah, because he seemed genuinely interested in us.
Yeah.
He told me that he liked this show.
Yeah, he messaged me too. Yeah.
And like this is just like. I don't have a vested interest either way.
Yeah.
He mentioned like he was a Marine like once.
Yeah.
When we were talking, but that was it. So is this like a Ben Albright type of situation where like he was in the military, but he lied about some things?
I don't know.
Right. So it's not like whole cloth. Like it wouldn't be like if I said I was in the military. Which I was not.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't get much more detail. The on Spaces I jumped in was at like 10:15 at night.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very long.
Right.
And I haven't seen much follow up about it. It really looks like there's been more fallout from people reacting to all the drama.
Yeah.
And basically,
that's what people like.
Yeah.
That's what people do, and that's like the inside baseball stuff I was gonna talk about.
It is.
They don't care about gay books. They care about Kirk Minahan and Howard Stern.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, because people are saying this is the kind of like cringe high school drama that turns people off from the LP.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
yeah, that's true.
There is an angle where people are starting but here's the thing: they said that, and then the next day, now there's a new high school drama controversy about people laughing at trans suicide memes. So now the drama has changed from a guy with a relatively small channel lying about being in the military, which honestly, in the grand scheme of things, as far as Liberty Twitter, who fucking cares?
For real, who gives a shit?
Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Like, it does suck for anyone who got lied to, and like it sucks for us. We were gonna go on the show and like talk to them about whatever, right?
Yeah,
that's what we want to do here.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, it doesn't really affect anything.
No,
right?
it does
except
not mean
anyone who he maybe scammed. I don't know if he scammed you. I'm sorry.
That's true. That's a different
he might have
thing.
scammed people. That really sucks.
That's a different thing.
Totally different.
He did not scam me. I do not have that.
But now the next
so this is
the next day.
Well,
so there were, I don't know, some posts. Some of the guys I follow just from whatever.
Yeah.
I believe it's Nick _individual. Nick
he's the one who got mega banned too for a while.
Did he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was
he got made into a meme and that like made him internet famous, didn't he? I think that's what happened.
I think
I don't know, but he's funny.
No, I think that's right. He is funny.
He's funny, and I really like his stuff, and I've watched him on a few of the shows that he's been on. He has good content.
Yep.
Yes,
agreed to all that.
Yeah, and so he was in the thread arguing with someone else in the LP, one of like the pro LBGT LP members. Probably, one of the dorks.
Here's the thing: we're all pro LGBT.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, dude. Do what you want. Just don't.
Stop being a fucking baby.
Well, here's the thing: like nobody cares, but they don't want to just like live their life. They want to like give kids hormone blockers.
Correct.
So like people like we don't care, but we do care because like the things you want to do aren't like
we're pro LGBT. We're anti-child abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Period. Period. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, they get into this whole thing. Typical Twitter back and forth, people yelling at each other, but autistic screeching. Two autistic libertarians screeching at each other on the internet, and then other people come in to troll them and make fun of the lolberts, right? Because, like, how fun is it to go on the internet and make fun of lolberts? It's, like, really fun, right? And so someone comes in, and some guy comes in, and I forget his handle, but it was like something cheese disrespecter or cheese dispenser or something.
It's a good start.
And he had like 2,000 followers. Like he had a small but decent page.
It's a good start.
And he posted cool pronouns, dork.
Yeah.
And he posted a meme of someone hanging from a tree with the trans flag over the back of it.
You don't think that's funny? I don't know what to tell you.
The joke being
the
incredibly high rate of suicide amongst trans people, right?
It's a joke. It's a meme.
And so this immediately,
it's not real.
So then this person, right? The person that was being made fun of the screeching autist being made fun of their pronouns. Now we're going to get made fun of for being mean to the neurodivergent too. That's the term for autistic and mentally disabled is neurodivergent. You'll see that in bios now, along with their pronouns and stuff and their orientation and stuff like that.
Part of I mean, watching Western civilization end is not good, but it's also fun.
Yeah, yeah, you know,
that's fun.
Yeah, you're right.
That's enjoyable.
So they started predictably screeching and screen capping and saying they're advocating for violence, and this is the problem with the LP is that they hate LGBT and they're homophobic and they hate trans people and they're pro lynching and anyone who likes anyone who likes this or laughs at this or is okay with this, you should get kicked out of the LP.
Fine.
And I mean, we're not in the LP.
Oh
no, please. That was the response. That was the response from people, not just us, who are like outside of it but sympathetic to Mises and the good LP.
Sure.
But even people in the LP. In Mises, like reps were like, "Oh no, not my LP membership. Please, anything but that." Like, oh no.
Exactly.
And it turned into a whole thing. Then they made a list, because you know you can make lists on Twitter. They made a list
that's a useful thing.
of everyone who liked, retweeted, or like positively commented about it.
Yeah.
And that turned into people subtweeting and quote tweeting, like, yo, if you make a list of people who laughed at inappropriate dark jokes, I'm going to follow everyone on that list.
Yeah, so
I'm going to follow everyone on the list.
These are the funny ones.
Yeah. So
this is everyone who's funny.
So this lends itself to what you're saying, is that like, just people very quickly forgot about some fucking lying huckster with 450 followers. Because they wanted to focus on suicide jokes.
Yes.
And what I just described, right?
Yes.
So that's the new drama that took over.
Right.
And the next day, Cheese Disrespecter has been banned, and his account. I followed him immediately.
Damn it!
And the next day, he even posted, "Yo, fam, I think I'm gonna be gone in the AM. Like, wish me luck."
Yeah.
And he was gone the next day.
Another real one, man.
Yep, another real one. Bites the dust.
Join me.
Yeah. So that's the new drama that wrapped at the LP, and then Dave Smith got dragged into it by these people basically tweeting and saying, "These are your people, Dave Smith. Look what you've done to the libertarians."
Hopefully, he said, "Yes, they are."
He said, "Go fuck yourself."
All right,
basically.
good. Yes.
He basically said, like, "Yeah, dark humor is a thing. I'm an offensive comic.
Good.
I've told worse jokes than this.
Absolutely, because you can't be a Legionist Gangs guy without."
And Reed Coverdale came in and he's like, "You people who can't laugh at this clearly have never worked on a real job site in your life."
Exactly.
So like the heavy hitters came out and were like, "You people need to shut the fuck up."
Perfect.
Like
awesome. That's encouraging.
And either you don't know what's going on, right? If you're saying people are pro lynching, either you don't know what's going on because it wasn't a lynching joke. It was a suicide joke, folks. Get it right, please. It was not a lynching joke. It was a suicide joke.
Right.
Either you don't know what's going on, or you're deliberately misrepresenting it to try to win some kind of like political woke award battle. I
guess like they just want. I mean, it always comes down to like wanting you want the argument to end. It's like these people are so anxious that they just want that conflict to end, that they're like, "Oh, hey, you're..."
No, man, whatever. Like fucking the establishment LP people, the ones who want to purge everyone they see as problematic, everyone who tells naughty jokes, the Mises Caucus, the Archie Flowers and the Nicholas Sarwalks, and
my God, that guy sucks so
all those people.
Much.
No, this isn't. They don't want it. I mean, they do want it to end in a sense, but they do not want like this new like ANCAP.
Well, that's what
anarchist faction to get any more traction. They don't want like real libertarians to take over the party.
They want the conversation to end.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's a debate tactic. You know what I mean? Like that's clearly all it is. And for a large portion of society, throwing out a term like homophobic or anti-LGBT or whatever ends the conversation. So it's a game theory perspective. Like that's the haymaker. It's like from a theoretical perspective, I've shot you with a shotgun. And what we need to realize is that insult is not a shotgun. It's a tickle. It's not anything.
Yeah.
Calling me transphobic is literally meaningless.
Did you really just laugh at a joke about a trans person killing themselves? Yeah.
It's meaningless.
Yeah.
And it's so...
I laugh at jokes about way worse stuff all the time.
And it's strange because we have a bifurcated society that will... 10% of society realize that it's a tickle, but 90% of society treats it as a shotgun blast.
Yeah, because they believe all the hype.
Yeah. So you you don't blame, the Richie and the Nick losers for doing that because tactically it's usually a pretty effective thing. But now you're dealing with the final form.
It's like we're conditioned for it since we're kids, right? Like if a little kid falls down and like the parents rush over and they're like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything fine?" The kid's gonna bust out into tears.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right? Like I'm sure you know this. You got two little kids, right? But if they fall and they scrape and you're like, "You're all right," and you rub it or whatever.
Crying makes it worse.
Yeah,
and I don't say
that same principle can be applied to these circumstances, right? If you're surrounded by a bunch of people like screaming at you about how terrible something is, even if you maybe don't think it's that terrible.
Yeah, you get
a lot of people are gonna fold.
You're definitely right.
Especially if you don't really have like principles. Yeah, and you're not really like invested in what's going on.
Even if you're just like normal.
That's what I mean. I'm not trying to say like people like they don't have principles, like they have no morals.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, but if you don't have like a dog in the race, if you're just a person on Twitter like liking an edgy meme that you thought was funny,
right?
If you don't read gay books all day, and like if you're not a member of the LP, if you just like saw a funny edgy meme, and next thing you know you're getting tagged in a list and doxxed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are. Yeah, that's. Well, so the other side too, which again, it's not the other side. A parallel thread is. So what you would know about this more about like was it Pittsburgh with the Mises or there was a libertarian?
It was LP Pennsylvania. I don't know. Was it in Pittsburgh?
I don't know.
It probably was. I couldn't see the LP.
And the whole point was there was it's like there was some type of vote where it's like Mises would have like basically won. I don't know what any of this means.
So basically,
do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. So there's three caucuses there's three big caucuses in the Libertarian Party, and there's the Mises Caucus, which is new. It started, I think, in 2018 out of the Mises Institute.
Oh, is that new?
I think it's fairly new. At least this is how it was explained in one of the shows I watched.
I want to be this, by the way.
Right? Yeah.
This is what I want to be.
Yeah. The Mises Institute has been around forever.
Yeah.
And like you could be a member of the Mises Institute for a long time.
Yeah.
But the Mises Caucus is like an official caucus in the Libertarian Party. From what I understand, is relatively new.
I think. Okay.
Then you have the Radical Caucus, which is like Vermin Supreme. Those are the people that get on stage and say that you shouldn't have driver's licenses and you should be able to sell heroin to children. And like most libertarians think you shouldn't have to have a driver's license, but we also, not we, I'm not a libertarian, but a lot of them don't think you should sell drugs to kids.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
But the radicals literally get on stage and say crazy stuff. These are the ones who who put up Vermin Supreme.
Is it a joke?
Might be.
Yeah.
It could not be.
Right.
But in my experience, at least just from following politics for the last, 10, 15 years, like the quote-unquote crazy libertarians are the radicals. Now, sure, they are like the most dedicated to pure libertarian philosophy, but it is buck wild and crazy and does not appeal to 99.9% of people.
And it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you have the ones that have been dominant, which is the Pragmatic Caucus, which was Nick Sarwark, Joe Jorgensen. This is like the libertarian establishment. These are the ones who have controlled the party, right?
Sounds like they're shitty.
And because their philosophy is we need to put libertarians in office, and we need to be pragmatic about how we do it, and it's okay if we compromise on some of our beliefs if we can achieve this goal.
But they only seem to compromise on the liberal side.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
So I would agree with that until you get to the you can't compromise on like Green New Deal.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
That's all sounds great in theory, and then what you have is Joe Jorgensen going on Twitter and saying it's not enough not to be racist. We must be actively anti-racist.
Right. Yeah.
And you have someone like Nicholas Sarwark, who in WikiLeaks got revealed to be a state intelligence asset.
Yeah.
Running your party.
Right.
So cool, great. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You're a bunch of spooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Well, we talked about on I think it was 2 episodes ago. It was good. It was one of my better rants about how I would vote for Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
If they were Calvin Coolidge.
Right.
That. But, and I went into some more nuance of that. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that this is a abomination of a human being for even more reasons, but also including the fact that he cut his dick off and
he still has his dick. Has his dick.
Then that's even worse. Then he's just not that good at it. Anyway, my point is, if you were to tell me
she still has her dick.
Fine. If you were to tell me that there was a pragmatic wing...
Lady penis.
Of the, yeah, girl balls. What are we doing? I mean, what the fuck? This is not like... Are we serious about like, this shit? I mean, for real. Like, are we fucking serious that a man can cut his dick off and become a woman? Or that a woman can cut off her breasts? Like, this is so evil. You can't even describe appropriately how evil and sick this shit is. Anyway, if there was an actual... Okay, to me, if you were to say, there's a pragmatic caucus in the Libertarian Party, I would say, sweet. That sounds good. What do you mean by pragmatism?
And then they show you what they mean.
And they show... Right. But if you were to say to me, hey, listen, I get it, you want to be cool and you want to be liked by everyone by saying I'm a libertarian, which means I only take like I only take the economic and then I like get rid of the social stuff of conservatives. You say that just to be cool and so that you don't have to have like a complex, nuanced argument with people. You basically, if you say I'm a libertarian and you take those types of positions, it's like you're just taking the easy way out, in my opinion. When what you should be, pragmatism is, we are more similar to conservatives than we are to progressives. Like, period, end of story. Well, if you're trying to make the argument that, like, libertarianism comes in the middle of, like, true Edmund Burke, Calvin Coolidge conservatism, and, like, Woodrow Wilson, FDR progressivism, like, you're more similar to the fucking conservatives, you dumb fucks.
Yeah.
So being pragmatic means we court that side.
Yeah.
Not court that side.
Yeah.
Like, so you know what I mean? Like, so you can't, and yet, like, I'm a conservative. I'm biased in this conversation. I'm also correct. Like, period, end of story. So it seems like Mises is actually doing that.
Yeah.
In real life, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
they are.
Yeah.
So
that seems far more pragmatic.
Yeah, so that was what the Pragmatic Caucus said, and then they just in their pragmatism,
it just became autistic progressives.
Yeah, what they did. Well, here's the thing: if you're trying to, was a point made by I think Dave Smith, is that if you're trying to present yourself as an alternative to the Democrats and the Republicans, and then you just start saying all the same things as the Democrats.
Yeah.
Why would people vote for you?
Correct.
If you're just going out and you have the same stance on BLM, if you have the same stance on defund the police, right?
Right.
If you have the same stance on lockdowns, if the libertarian candidate,
you can't.
The liberty candidate isn't coming out against lockdowns and isn't coming out against medical privacy and vaccine passports. I mean, that came after Jorgensen.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But the LP establishment...
Masks.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Now, when Dave Smith freaked out about vaccine passports, justifiably so, and we should all be freaking out about vaccine passport, he was 100% correct. The LP National people, the Pragmatist Caucus, said, well, it's their private companies.
I know, it's this dumb...
So even though Jorgensen's gone, these people are still here, and they would enable vaccine passports. Right?
It's Cato doing like, hey, here's how private companies could do it. Fuck Cato.
So they're the Jorgensen people, the LP National, essentially had the same platform as Democrats, right?
Yeah.
So why would anybody vote for you?
Makes no sense.
So it's not very pragmatic if you're going to just abandon a lot of your core principles, right? And then B, not really appeal to any new voters. And you're only going to alienate your current voters, the ones who like you for libertarianism.
Absolutely.
Right? So what happened in Pennsylvania recently was they had the party whatever, and Mises showed up, and they had way more people. They were all new members, right? They were all newly enrolled members, and there's a bylaw that says in order to vote for the Libertarian Party people or whatever,
so they use bureaucracy.
Leadership is you have to have been a member for 180 days, and a lot of these people hadn't been members for 180 days. Now here's the thing. For the last, I think it was either 10 years or maybe a little longer, maybe even 12, 20 years, every single year they voted to waive this bylaw during the voting because they don't have any membership. Right. So, like, why would you vote to not let your people in when you're a fucking single-digit % party? Right? In every state. Right? But this year, because the Mises people are here and they're the scary ANCAPs that are homophobic and hate BLM, Now we have to uphold the bylaws and not let them in. And it's a really shame you're not on Twitter right now, dude.
It's madness.
The kind of people...
I'm also so good on Twitter. It sucks.
It's
so frustrating.
The guy... One of the main guys who was doing this is like one of the biggest... He looks like Lena Dunham.
Yeah, I know exactly
what you're talking about.
I know 100%.
He looks like Lena Dunham.
There's probably a good reason I got mega banned because I went so hard at him and that guy.
Yeah, that's probably
huge...
Yeah.
I'm also so good on Twitter. Yeah. It's a fucking disaster.
So that's why you keep getting banned.
I know. That's
why you keep getting like 400,000 or 500,000 and get banned.
It's crazy, man. I'm Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah,
I literally am Timothy.
Twitter Timothy.
Yeah, that's
what your name should be.
It is
Twitter Timothy.
That's good. You're good. Yours is good too. The Lee Harvey Roswell. I was very impressed.
That's my internet.
You're doing a good job.
I'm Harvey Roswell.
That's a good job.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Okay. So
that's what happened.
He looks like a lesbian.
Yeah, he looks like a fatter Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
And so the LP party kept control.
It's so crazy that someone like that would put their picture on the internet.
At bragging.
Like why? And he had the lanyard. In
It's like, the fucking loser brigade.
There isn't enough lockers to stuff you.
The loser brigade lanyard.
Yeah.
And
that Ricky guy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yep.
It's just like
they all suck.
Oh my god,
they all suck. And so their fervent dedication to wokeness is pushing the more right-wing libertarians out of the party. And these are the people who are just gonna they're gonna align, and I think at this point, rightfully so, with the arguments of people like Tho Bishop that I talked about before. The DeSantis supporters, right?
Is that the worst thing in the world?
No, it isn't. It's absolutely not.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Will Fight said the other day that hating the culture war means that you are okay with 8-year-olds being put on puberty blockers.
I mean, it just
that's what it means. That's what it means. And
today
by kowtowing to these LP National Pragmatist Caucus and their woke pronoun nonsense, that's what you're going to get. And you're going to push these people out, and the right wing's going to take over, and you're going to get more war, and you're going to get more government spending.
Yeah, right.
Because people are willing to take that if it means no kids getting brainwashed and sex change surgeries.
Yeah.
People are like, what's the option? What's the option?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of the more right wing people. A lot of the ANCAPs, a lot of the more right-wing libertarians, and just right-wing in general, saying you guys would be fine with being put in the cattle cars if it meant no more foreign war, and lower taxes.
Right. Yes.
What are your fucking priorities? And I hate war. I'm an isolationist. I think there should be no war.
Completely.
But you have to be realistic when you look at the American people. If you tell them their options are a party that is going to still kind of do war. Which the Democrats are going to do, not even kind of, are going to do war. And they're going to do more of it, and they're going to tell you that it's good, and they do it well. And they make all the lefties think it's great, because they're saving fucking gay people in Uganda, or whatever the hell they're doing, right? Or the other party is also going to do war, but maybe they're going to stop your kids from getting sex changes and being brainwashed about racism in the fucking 3rd grade. That's who they're going to pick. And no amount of arguments about, both parties are bad, and war is bad, and taxes are bad, and the government is an authoritarian body that abuses the people, and the human rights is bad. That's all true. But what are you doing about the people who are giving kids sex changes?
Yep.
And brainwashing them that they're racist monsters when they're in the 3rd grade?
Absolutely. And
what are you doing about it?
And who's just
Are you doing anything? Are you allowing people like the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party to stop you from your takeover?
And who uses the government to to create massive stores of Narcan because we just assume that everyone's going to be overdosing 24/7 all the time.
Yeah.
Or we're going to create infrastructure where we only produce outcomes based on race. And saying nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean,
what are we so this is where I kind of this is not a good...
So anyway, I hope the Mises people win, and I think they will. I mean,
I don't see how they can't.
I don't. Yeah,
or how they won't.
Well, here's the thing: a year is going to go by, and they're going to have the party summit again, and they're not going to be able to use this bylaw.
Yeah.
Unless something drastic changes in the next year, which is always a possibility.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a possibility that outside factors or infighting could push people out of Mises or the LP into the GOP into the.
Would it not be a better outcome if we had a good, practical instinct of Mises in the Republican Party?
Yeah, I mean, I think
that would probably be better.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't you think?
I think so too. I think the GOP needs to die.
I get it. I hate the GOP.
No,
but wouldn't it be better?
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I in a perfect world, yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
I don't think that...
This was like my Israel compromise.
Yeah, I don't think we can use statism to beat statism, but where we're at right now, like, these, like, theoretical arguments on paper, like, aren't going to do anything to stop the government machine from, like, fucking us all in the ass.
So it's an extremely good point you just brought up, which is, like, using statism to beat statism. I totally agree with you, but where I'm, like, asking the question is like the DeSantis thing, right?
Yeah, I
like he's such a
yes.
He's so interesting in a ton of ways.
Yeah,
and it's like
if I lived in Florida and my option was to become an agorist and withdraw into the swamps and just live off the grid and accept all like the truths that I understand that like every election is rigged.
Yeah.
Every vote is cheated.
We're in lockstep.
Like you are giving them more support for their mandate. Just by voting, you are giving them permission for your abuse. Like, I totally 100% believe in that. Or I could vote for the guy that just put in a policy that fined cruise lines $5,000 every time they try to check someone's vaccine status. What do you do, dude? Like, what? Are you fucking dumb?
Are you dumb?
Are you dumb?
Are you dumb?
Are you dumb?
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I get it. The state sucks. It's terrible. When you're in that position, what do you choose? What do you choose?
It is.
If you're committed to liberty, what do you choose?
It's a very similar type of argument that there was that Flight 93 election. This was like in normie circles, obviously, but like it was kind of the hold your nose, not true never Trumpers, but it was the real. It's kind of where I was, whatever, in 2016. Mm-hmm. It was like I was never a never Trumper, but I was always like. Why couldn't it have been Ted Cruz? And again, these are like old takes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, why couldn't it have been Ted Cruz?
A lot has happened in 5 years.
Yeah. Why couldn't it have been Ted Cruz? Like, God damn it, you know, like I guess I'll vote for Trump and hold my nose, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a pretty famous paper that was written by like an anonymous person. I think we all know who it is now, but I forget whatever. And it might have been in like it was in a big normie newspaper, it was in like the Washington Post or something. And it was called like the Flight 93 election, and it was written by a conservative person who I think is pretty good. But I forget whatever. And it was like, listen, like this is an election. Like it was basically like, listen, never Trumpers, listen, Jonah Goldberg, Bill Kristol, Chris Wallace, whatever. Like, listen, guys, if you don't vote for Trump, you're voting for Hillary Clinton. Like, if you're abstaining or voting for Evan McMillan or voting for, I don't know, whoever, Gary Johnson, it's like, that is a vote for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Like, that's what it is. Yeah. It's the Flight 93, and the whole thing was Flight 90, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, they're either good, like, both outcomes are shitty, but one of them is way worse.
Yeah, I remember.
If Flight 93 actually made it to the White House, that would be whatever, but, you know, Flight 93 actually made it to the White House. Like, we still all crashed and died. Yeah. And that sucked, and that was terrible. Mm-hmm. But it would have been way worse if we crashed and all died and also killed everybody in the White House. Yeah. Like, so this is a very similar type of argument here within the, you know, where this is where pragmatism, and this is where I always come back to like you can't actually be compromised unless you're you can't be engaging in compromise unless you're actually giving something up. And giving something up isn't like just like a banal, like, oh, it's like, no, you have to be pissed about a little bit of something, but then you have to be happy about the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yes, I'm pissed that Ron DeSantis uses the government to say that, you know, men can't perform in women's sports. Like, yes, that mechanism is bad. I'm pissed that he had to sign a law that says men can't participate in women's sports. Yes. But you know what? I'm also glad that men can't participate in women's sports. It's like, so I'll pick that.
Right. I mean, I'm pissed that like women's spaces aren't being protected.
Yes.
Up at any level until the government.
Yeah. Correct.
Why not? Yeah. Why that in a culture that is so focused on the struggle of oppressed groups, women of which I'm constantly told are one, despite the fact that they test better in schools and graduate at higher rates and get better starting salaries than men their age.
But they are. You're talking like about the most evil, sexist there is.
Yeah.
Like women are oppressed.
No,
and men are shitheads.
I agree.
And they need to be protected from shithead men.
I agree. Why does no one care about the fact that now that men can just dominate their athletic spaces? Right?
Or just go into their bath. It's so stupid. We have a friend who's good. He's good. But he was he parrots he's like, the whole bathroom thing is stupid. And I'm like, it's really fucking not. Like it is a clear like cultural canary in the coal mine that says when you use, when you force, whether it's government or culture, it doesn't matter. Well, government would be worse, but even when culture says to you, there's no such thing as sexed bathrooms, it's like, that's bad. It's like that's, and it's not because, so people make the argument like, hey, well, sex predators aren't just gonna like come in there and whatever, like use this as an opportunity like to rape people. And it's like, at scale, like you're right. Statistically, like that probably doesn't happen. You're correct. But the deeper psychological trauma that it produces within society when you force.
How do you gauge something like that?
It's extraordinarily difficult.
That would be my concern. Is you have to be able to gauge something like that.
Totally, and it's a great point. I would say when you would have to think of some type of longitudinal study that would determine women's responses to single sex spaces, and what the outcomes of withholding those opportunities from those girls and women, like what those outcomes would be.
Right.
And that's that's like so hard.
And I can be, I can be skeptical of that, and also like I would never, well not never, but I wouldn't fault like a parent for being concerned if like their young daughter was in a public bathroom and there was I mean, it kind of goes back to a sort of mid-transition trans person.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't distress me, but I'm not a guy with a young daughter who's alone in a bathroom.
Well, and I also think this.
But also, I also don't think that parents would leave their young daughters alone in bathrooms.
Those things happen.
But even if they did, I don't think that makes it okay for anything bad to happen.
And anyone,
you know what I mean? Like,
I do know.
They should still be safe.
I'm trying to tease
in our
this
society.
out.
It's a really fucking confusing thing.
But it's so again. I always talk about culture, and in a lot of instances, like I am a TERF. I think I'm a radical feminist in a lot of ways because we talked about this. I don't think men can get raped by women. I don't. I don't think. I think men's obligation to women has been destroyed. I believe in female dating strategy like that. Like I am actually a radical feminist in a ton of ways. And this is one example because I also see it going.
Save some pussy for the rest of us.
I also see it going one way. It's like, or not always, because the damage on the other side is true too, but it's to a lesser degree. It's like I see the trans movement as horrifically misogynist. I mean, that's really it's women who are so psychologically damaged that they don't believe they can be actualized unless they're a man.
So and what if I told you?
Hold on, and it's men who are so psychologically damaged and so misogynistic that they have to live as it's men who think they can be better women than women, and women who think and women who aren't happy unless they can become a man. It's ferociously misogynist. That is the patriarchy, and I see it very directionally going from one way to another. It's why I hate Caitlyn Jenner, and I have a ton of sympathy and empathy for Evan Page or Ellen Page or whatever the hell. Elliot. Yeah. I have that is someone who I have a ton.
If you watch that interview that he did,
horrific.
It's
hard to watch.
That's someone who's like on the edge.
We really need to help this
person.
They
need help, dude. They need help.
And that is
not like here's $100,000 to go on TV and be exploited. Like you need actual help.
Correct,
dude.
So this is what I mean by this stuff. Yeah. And where it comes down on the bathroom stuff is like, if a sexed woman goes into a sexed man's bathroom, I think it's bad, particularly if there are young boys in there because of what it does for longitudinal outcomes around psychology. But like the danger factor, et cetera, et cetera. When a broad-chested, fully, haired,
Fallon Fox,
genitally developed man walks into a woman's space, like that's it's dangerous. It's psychologically.
Yeah.
It violates the sanctity of women's spaces, and we do like take away these women's spaces.
I'd be interested to hear the perspective of women who are against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think
I want to hear from women who are like, yeah, I don't like that.
Well, we hear J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good example.
That's a good example. She's there, and she says it, and she's unapologetic. And this is a person who's a this person made Dumbledore gay like out of nowhere. Like this is not someone who, this is not like a. I'm positive she voted. I'm positive all of her politics would be for Labour, and not the Tories. You know what I mean? Like this is like a left person.
Yeah.
But I have a ton of respect for her, and again, the political left-right thing I don't care about anymore. But I see her taking brave stand. Stephen Fry, Stephen Fry does this stuff all the time too, where he again, you couldn't be more progressive. He but I respect him a ton because he's like J.K. Rowling's a friend, and I think we should have sympathy for people, but there are clearly like monsters out there, that are doing this and doing this in a damaging psychological way.
Yeah, for me, it's like and
why are we not listening to these women?
Yeah, I want to hear from. I want to hear from the women who are against this.
Yeah,
because there's no way that's just like a ubiquitous, like totally. All women.
It's definitely the majority of people of women don't support this. Like definitely.
Yeah. And it probably breaks down a lot on tribal lines and where you're at in the country and things like that. Where we are, most women are probably okay with it, and you go some places they're probably not.
Well, but you're okay with it conceptually until that guy walks into your locker room.
That's a good point.
Like
that's a really good point.
You know what I mean?
I think that's something people see a lot with crime.
Yes. Why are all the woke people in Hingham and Duxbury and Scituate?
That's true.
Like Turtle Boy makes this comment all the time. Like the wokest people do their absolute best to never interact with anyone who's not white.
Yeah.
The Red Sox front office doesn't even have like Italians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even have anybody who has dark hair.
Yeah.
like these are the people. So and that's not to that's not whatever. It's like these people go out of their way to never experience any of the claims that they make academically. And they would never. And on the flip side, who do you think it's like that Hoff twins thing I sent you?
Yeah.
Like it was a Thomas Sowell who did, and I always butcher the name of this book, but it's like black rednecks and white Republicans or something. I forget. I think it's Thomas Sowell.
It is Thomas Sowell.
Yeah. And it's basically like culture is comfortable with culture. So it's like, I know there's that SNL skit with Tom Hanks where it's Black Jeopardy, but Tom Hanks is like a MAGA guy, and he gets all the answers right. It's because we're not divided by racial lines, and we're not divided by economic lines, which is another thing. Some of that, but we're divided by cultural lines, and it's like if you take a ghetto person is a ghetto person, whether they're white or black or Hispanic or whatever, and they're going to be comfortable, and they're going to be able to speak, and they're going to be able to interact. Culturally, because of that, and part of what
a ratchet ghetto girl on Miami Beach is not taking the vaccine.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
A white trash MAGA guy who works in demolition or excavation and makes $100,000 a year. Also isn't taking the vaccine.
Exactly.
They're both not taking the fucking vaccine, and it has very little to do with how much money they make. Or like what race
almost
they are.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Almost nothing.
No, you're very good point.
And these are the things like that have to matter.
Yeah.
And these are the things that we have to see. And so I won't just pick on the left with the woke stuff. Like this is very much entrenched in the right stuff too, or on the right, where so Eric Weinstein makes like a pretty good point where he's like, he mentions, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's like, I'm not a liberal anymore. I'm not like a progressive anymore. But the reason I was for so long was because like I was a kid with a learning disability who was Jewish, who had, black friends, and the Republican Party of the, late 80s, 90s was like the WASP country club, golf club, business. It was like the business owners party.
The Newt Gingrich.
Yeah, the Newt Gingrich. Yeah. And they were like, if you rented, like you couldn't be a Republican.
Yeah.
Basically, like if you didn't own a boat, like you couldn't be a Republican. And it's funny that I like how he put it in those terms because it had nothing to do with policy. I shouldn't say that. The surface level is not about policy. It's not like, I don't identify with Republicans because of their tax policy. It's like, I don't identify with Republicans because they're nothing like me culturally.
Yeah.
And they're just not, they're nothing like me, and this, and that's why you didn't have the culture,
That's why you didn't really have, Black or Latino Republicans until Trump?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And this is where I feed back into like, this is where Mises, libertarian liberty, either I just don't. It would be wonderful to be proved wrong.
Yeah, we would love it if they proved us wrong.
It would be.
I would love if Austrian economics rules the day. That would be great,
and it would be terrific if like the Libertarian Mises Party got 40% of the vote and whatever.
You've got about 8,000 pages of required reading to get people to understand your platform.
Yeah, right. So this is my point is like. What Trump did was started to flip that on its head. What Mises should do, and I'm compromising. I hate the GOP. I hate them. No one is more of like a race traitor than like a neocon. Like fuck, and I don't mean embraced by race. I mean no one is more of like a traitor. Full stop.
To like their constituents.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. No one is more of like an evil monster than like the neocons, the Bill Kristols, the Koch brothers, the Mitt Romneys.
The establishment Republicans.
Those people are the worst of the worst. But having said that, like, it would be awesome if we got all the Mises energy behind a Ron DeSantis in the Republican Party.
DeSantis Paul 2024.
That would be like right.
DeSantis Paul
or Massey. You know what I mean? Like,
I could. Yeah, that'd be good.
Is Massey a Republican or is he?
He's a Republican.
Oh, okay, I think so.
Massey's a Republican.
It's like so. I see shit like so. Oh my! So this it's a perfect example.
Yep.
It's like no Joe Jorgensen, you fucking idiot. No. Like Thomas Massey has an R next to his name.
Yeah.
Not a D or even an I.
Nope.
So and he's in office. There's a reason for that.
That's right.
Like that's what we should be. That's practical. Trying to out woke fucking Elon Omar is so stupid. It's not.
And you're one of the reasons why Thomas Massey is more popular now.
Yeah, right.
You're one of the reasons you're worried about status getting more power and authority getting more power. Well, your fucking woke bullshit drove more people right into the arms of statists.
And like,
congratulations.
You're really gonna not like support Rand Paul because once or twice he said like back the blue. Like, shut the like. Do I like that either? Like, I used to like that.
Well, I mean, didn't Rand Paul fucking put forward the Breonna Taylor Act?
Yes,
no knock
this
warrants?
is what I mean. Like and he
said back the blue. I'd rather look at what he's done, and it looks like he put forward one of the only pieces of legislation to forward a libertarian idea.
Correct.
Of getting rid of no-knock warrants. That sounds pretty cool to me.
That sounds pretty good. He always talks about the drug war. He always talks about bringing troops back. He always all of the things that you. Again, this goes back to my Israel thing. It's like he tweeted back the blue, and he probably at some point.
He probably had a fundraiser with the police union.
Yeah, and like so, it's like whatever. You're really gonna let that like stand in your way, and that's what's gonna get you to vote. It's like, that's so profoundly retarded. Well, it's like, I can't even make an argument.
The other day I was talking to someone and they said, ooh, look at this. Ron DeSantis gets $3 million in anonymous donations. I go, okay.
So what?
I was like, they all get millions of dollars in dirty anonymous money. At least he's doing something good with it.
Yeah, and
they're like, what do you mean?
And also, what does that even mean?
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I told him, well, he did the cruise ship thing.
Yeah.
He did the girl sports
thing. This is like a libertarian saying this? This
was one of my friends who's like kind of like sort of like a left anarchist, hates the Democrats, wouldn't vote GOP, but like also thinks Joe Biden is like awful and terrible, and knows Bernie Sanders and AOC are liars and stuff like that. Kind of a anarcho-commie on a small scale and very anti-authoritarian.
Sure.
Right?
Good. Okay. We can work with that.
Yeah.
Anonymous donations. What the fuck? What?
It was a hit piece. It was a hit piece from some because Ron DeSantis single-handedly disproved everything. Their entire COVID hysteria, lockdown nonsense. He just proved everything. If it wasn't for DeSantis and Abbott, but really DeSantis.
He led. He was the first.
All of this, like in Massachusetts, our mask mandate, this would not have happened. This would not have fucking happened. If we didn't have, 6 or 8 months now of data out of Florida of how it's all fine, it's totally fucking fine.
Ron DeSantis is so fucking based, they never had a mask mandate.
No.
Ever.
No. And they have one of the oldest states in some of the poorest health in the country.
Correct. Like, he's so based. And this is what I mean. It's like,
so anyway, I basically just said to my friend, like, look, like, and we talk about all the time how they all get tons of money, how everyone gets dirty money, everyone gets anonymous donations. He's actually doing good stuff with it.
Yeah.
And they disagreed with me on how some of the things are good. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like
85% of it is good.
Yeah, I'm like, do you want a vaccine passport?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Do you I don't want to go on a cruise, and I don't think they do either. But do you think people should have to show their vax passports to get on a cruise? No. Okay, well then he did something good.
So you want to know what's real? So this is good, and we have to probably go another 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
This is good an hour. We're just so good at this. It's crazy. Anyway, so this is a funny example. Mm-hmm. So you want to know? This is exactly why the DeSantis Mises thing should definitely come together and should use the Republican backbone to do it. Mm-hmm. So my wife is non-political and comes from a non-political family, like full stop, like, and not non-political, like I'm actually a liberal who says I'm non-political to like be cool. Mm-hmm. Like no, like just straight up does not care. So I have turned her somewhat totally through osmosis because I can't like convince my wife of anything because she's fucking smart and like she's smarter than me and she's again the best version of a woman because she developed my potential and made me not a shithead and all those things. I do things that she can't do because she's a woman because I'm a man.
You hear that, guys? He used to be worse than this.
Yeah, that's right.
He used to be worse than this.
That's funny. Anyway, point is, COVID is when she started to say, hey, becoming political, and coming basically like as neutral a third party as you can come from. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I shouldn't say that. She started to turn a little. She was like, why are all these psychopaths going crazy about Trump? That was her, like, even like 4 years ago, 2 years ago, or whatever. She's like, I don't like Trump either. Like, kind of a scumbag, probably like a bad guy. Like, she voted for him because I just told her and whatever. But she's like, what? Like literally, like, what is this?
She's like, he's probably a bad guy, but they're all bad guys.
But they're all bad guys, yes. She's like, it's all stupid.
Yeah.
She's like a real agorist.
Yeah.
Like,
for real. We're all bad guys, and we pay less taxes now.
Yeah, so. She's just like, so that's when she had like kind of like a first little bit of like, wow, these people are fucking weird. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
Like,
why are you crying on TV? The answer is they get paid $30,000 a day.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
What a crazy reaction. Well, but we have our own. Yeah. We have like our kids' friends' parents who are like, again, not crazy, lefty enough where they're like, oh my gosh, they say stuff like around her. Yeah. And she'll come home and say, she's like, Sue or whoever, like actually was upset. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that leads us to, so COVID and all that stuff. And we hear stuff about like masks at schools, and she's like, "This is ridiculous." Like, what the fuck, So we're homeschooling in the fall, regardless. even though it's gotten better. But we're going to do it at least for a year, just to kind of try it out. And she wants to do it, and she stays home, so like we can do it. So
Massachusetts homeschool enrollment rate is up 119%.
Yeah, like and it even doesn't matter if the masks are coming off in the fall. We're just still doing it.
Yeah,
and I'm even conflicted. We can go back and forth on it, not because I want kids in public school, because I don't, but because whatever. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
The point is,
we should do a whole episode on schools.
So a big thing is, we like are cruisers. We were on a cruise ship on March 15th of 2020.
Oh man.
Yeah. Like, dude.
Just there's a
like
there's this virus out of China.
Dude, straight up. It was crazy. Like we were on, and that was Royal Caribbean's last sail.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like so. It was,
yeah.
So it was funny because we were at the time. It was like, are we gonna be able to get off the boat? Like, are they gonna fucking send us somewhere or whatever? And like they didn't, and it was fine. But anyway, so the point is, she like loves cruising and she loves like vacations, and that's like her. She gets a lot of enjoyment out of that. She's like a big planner. She loves pulling together the itineraries and like finding the deals and
mine's the same way.
We should do this and this, and like here's where you buy. Like don't buy it at this restaurant because it's twice as expensive because it's the same thing at this one on the other side of the shit. So like she loves that shit, and it's great, and it's terrific. And she is like, so DeSantis is doing all this stuff for cruising, which she cares about. And she's like, Ron DeSantis is the fucking greatest. She's like, they're going right at get people on the boats. We're going to fine you if you do vaccine passport. Because she's, again, she's fully like, and again, this is what she's like, this is stupid. I'm not getting I'm 30 years old. I'm healthy. My kids are six. They're not going to be sick. When they get sick, they'll get healthy. The whole thing. She's like, I'm not going to fucking get a vaccine passport. And fuck you, anyone who wants to give me a vaccine. And fuck you, like I'm not going to wear a mask on vacation in the fucking Caribbean. Like this is crazy. So she sees like a DeSantis and she doesn't give a fuck about, they're using the state to sue. Ooh, that's stupid. The cruise ships are private companies. She doesn't care about that shit even a little bit. And
has she read Rothbard?
Yeah.
Has she read Rothbard?
No, she would call you a fucking loser if you suggested it. But she sees that, and she's like, you just found yourself your Libertarian Mises Caucus person. That's her.
Yeah.
That's her.
Yeah.
You just found someone. And you know what? She's like an attractive blonde lady who has influence among other people, who has children, who has a circle, who talks to other, who's not political, but like who is also not afraid to talk politics.
Yeah.
Like she's like, yeah, we voted for Trump. Like whatever. Like if you're upset about it, you're a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
She would say like, yeah, like we're in Mises. Like what do you mean? Like okay, fine. They're against vaccine passports. What are we doing here? What are we talking about? That's the person. It's her. Like. And I'm me and do this show, and she doesn't give a fuck about this show.
Yeah.
Or this. This is a big inconvenience to her.
Yeah, right.
but she knows what she sees.
Yeah.
And she doesn't give a shit that like, the state is, what about a private company? She's like, well, the private company's acting like dickheads.
Yeah.
So why would we do what they want?
You mean the private company that is only doing this in response to government authoritarianism?
Yeah.
You mean the private company that 2 years ago would have never ever dreamt about ever doing this?
That would have never done this ever. Yeah, the private company who had stuff like cruise ships have norovirus. That's a thing, and
the
whatever.
Same ones that probably get corporate subsidies. Those you mean those private companies?
Absolutely, yeah. Right. Who are right? Who help write the tax law, which allows them to find tax havens. All those. Right. These are not private companies.
No.
Like the idea that like AT&T is a private company is like actually hilarious. Like that's a crazy thing to suggest. But anyway, that's the point, and like that's the real unity is that shit.
I mean, I like I said, I hope they prove us wrong, but I think they're gonna still get a little too academic and a little too autistic in their messaging, and people like your wife all over the country are just gonna vote for DeSantis.
Correct.
And other Republicans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's.
And they're not gonna. I mean, DeSantis he's great, but he's not like to go off. He's not an America First candidate.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
that means he's not a divest from the Middle East candidate.
Yeah,
that means he's not a stop the wars candidate.
Yeah, he's not going to end the Fed.
He's not going to end the Fed. There's not going to be a dramatic reduction of state authority or power under DeSantis. So I think that's the most probable outcome.
Yeah.
If the libertarians want to just stay out of the culture war.
Yeah,
because you can talk about how lame the culture war is, and it's a distraction from economics, and it's a distraction from government authoritarianism. But it's here, and it's people don't have like the bandwidth. I won't even say it's not intelligence.
No, it's not.
Like they don't have the bandwidth to read all your gay books.
Yeah.
And to literally accept in their head that they are now a revolutionary. That they are a domestic terrorist. That like if they carry out like their philosophy, they will be branded by the government as a dissident and potentially a traitor.
Yeah.
That's a really heavy fucking load, man.
It is, man.
And that's like a really serious fucking thing.
To
accept that like you want to destroy the state.
Yeah, that's
and that's like a really hard thing to convince people like normies to get behind.
And
it should be.
It should be. Like that's a real
thing.
It's
not a fucking joke.
Yeah. It's not a
joke.
It's not like Twitter. Like haha, come get me. Like no, that's not.
No, it's not
the same thing.
Legit, dude.
It's not the same thing. All right, you good?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that's a good place to end.